What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're taking a look at Path of Exile 2 here on the ROG Ally X, and I've already covered this on the Legion Go and Steam Deck, and it's pretty playable everywhere, but performance can really vary, of course, depending on where you're at in the game, how much is going on, and what you're running for your settings, your resolution, upscaling, and all of that. Pretty much, I do recommend this game at 720p, but let's go ahead and get into it and take a look. Now, as far as the settings go, I'm going to be full screen, no VSync on, no dynamic resolution. That's going to make the game very blurry, so make sure you click that off. We'll start off at 1080p, but again, we're going to go through 900p and 720p. You have FSR or Intel's XeSS, NIS is there. I'm going to use FSR, and I'm going to use balanced or quality. We'll go through that. We're also going to have medium on textures, 8 times anti-trophic filtering, shadows only, low, high there, and then high on water detail. And then we have the dynamic calling turned on, triple buffering is turned on, and then we're going to have the graphs all turned off here. So that's pretty much what we're going for custom settings. That work pretty well here, and adjusting any of those other high things down to low or medium, whatever was available, didn't make a big difference. And at 25 watts here, just sitting still in town doing nothing, just to take a look at a little bit, performance 40-41. Switch that to 17 watts, you'll come down to 27 FPS. 17 watts, even at 720p, does not work in this game. 20, 22, maybe, 25 to 30, definitely. Depending on if you're handheld or docked. It definitely will suffer on performance. It's not super easy to run. Again, performance varies dramatically once we get into gameplay. 900p is not a big improvement sitting here with the custom settings. FSR balance 25 watts, and it doesn't make enough of a difference to really be worth it. It's not a sweet spot for this game on the Ally X, but 720p is a big difference in performance and gives us the headroom that we need when we actually get into gameplay and we get busy. But again, dropping that from 25 to 17 watts may be okay sitting still here, but it would put you into the 20s when you get into combat if you're lucky, because you will lose at least half of your FPS a lot of the times. But let's get into it and take a look at some of the gameplay here. I'm still just in the beginning here. I'm 5-6 hours in, but I'm still wandering around Act 1, just messing around, really been enjoying it. But the performance can easily go, even at 720p, from something like 70 or 80 FPS or in the 60s. And as soon as you get very much going on screen, it doesn't stutter, it doesn't have frame time issues or anything like that. But the performance, the FPS is going to come down, even with these settings, into the mid 30s just here, before we even get leveled up with a lot more skills and a lot more enemies happening on screen, where we could easily come down to probably 28 or 30 FPS at 720p. So that's just something to keep in mind here when you're tweaking your settings and trying to play the game on a handheld like the ROG Ally X. 900p, again, like I said in the beginning, it's not enough of a boost. It will tend to help you stay out of those 20s in these areas more than 1080p will do to you, but it's not as good as 720p. And again, when you get into some really busy areas later on, this is not going to hold up, at least not in its current state of early access, where they still have a good bit of work to do on performance and gameplay. It's really early access beta for this game. And going to 1080p, you'll easily get into the 20s before we're even anywhere in the game that's going to be difficult to run. So I really recommend staying away from 1080p. Probably don't bother with 900p, but 720p, 22 to 25 watts if you're not docked, should keep you playable basically everywhere. But again, we could wind up with areas that are even going to come sub 30. It just really kind of depends on what's going on and what you're doing with your settings and all that kind of stuff here. But ultimately, I think the game's pretty darn playable. The good thing here is it's clean. So when I say that, I mean the frame times are pretty clean. There's no stutters. I mean, it's very smooth. I rarely see a skip or, you know, a big change in my frame times. It stays very consistent, which feels good to play, whether you're variable on the VRR screen or if you want to lock your frame rate to something like 30, 40, whatever you're going to do there. It stays nice and clean that way. But performance can obviously easily go from 80 FPS to 40 FPS or 60 to 30 pretty quickly when you get into battle. But anyways, guys, that's the current state anyway of early access here on the ROG Ally X for Path of Exile 2. Really enjoying the game, and hopefully you guys are too. All right, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.